All right, all right, all right. Hello, everybody. Lori Swanson here, CEO of Inspire Tech and the founder of Career Alchemy Academy, the place for women who are looking to create greater confidence, greater clarity, and greater connection to themselves, to others, to their career, to their higher self. That's where we gather. We've been just having a wonderful, I can't even say, uh, uh, we start something and we have an idea of what might happen. And then as I was wrapping up our live coaching yesterday in Career Alchemy Academy, I realized I'm like, I never knew that this was the direction this was going to go, that this was the deep connections that we would be making, the great wisdom that was going to be shared. I cannot say enough about the alchemists inside of Career Alchemy Academy. And we welcome more of you to join us. And you can follow over my shoulder, follow the QR code. If you're interested, or DM me on LinkedIn, I'm always happy to chat. Um, and I just want to say, as I was signing up today, like opening up Zoom, getting ready for this broadcast, because I connect to LinkedIn through Zoom and to the YouTubers and Instagram out there. I connect to you all through a tool that I love called Restream. And it allows me to use Zoom and stream to multiple channels at the same time. Tech at its best as far as I'm concerned. But I'm opening up Zoom and it says, oh, you've been updated to the latest version. Click done here. And then it says floating um, reactions. I'm like, floating reactions? I cannot wait to figure out what that means. That's exciting. So that just kind of, as I was opening up Zoom, I was like, oh my gosh, isn't that exciting? Always something new and fun that's happening with, again, tech. So the topic that I want to talk to you about today, I really have a question. I want to pose a question for you. Like, um, uh, when do you go inside for answers, and when do you go outside? So this whole question comes from a recent, I guess I would say, tug of war. I'm in the process of updating the website and updating the dashboard, which is inside of Career Alchemy Academy, where alchemists go to get past recordings of calls and other tools that we use, like mindset tools and something called the retrospective tool and decision-making tools. So different tools so they can go back to it again and again. So I have them recorded. So I'm updating those. And I'm also at the same time working with a website, spectacular woman named Steph, who is helping me add a little, it's sort of like what I was saying at the top when I was talking about, I never would have been able to dream about what Career Alchemy and the live coaching was going to be when I conceived of and felt that leap inside of me of wanting to do something like Career Alchemy Academy. The same is true for, for things evolve, we evolve. Who I am, I used to, wear a certain color of clothes, and now I'm someone who is not so attached to the type of color. I wear a lot of colors and a lot of variety of clothes and styles of um, dresses and tops and bottoms and shoes and all those things. Where I used to be a little more regimented with myself, I'm less so now. So we evolve, and and so websites, I don't know. I was trying to think, how many websites have I had? Lots of websites since I became CEO of my, I didn't have a website in my first business. It was very small. There was just three of us. And, but when I went on my own and opened up my very first business on my own, I got a website pretty quickly, and it was literally like just a page. And now it's so much more, right? So in the process of updating the website, got in a little tug of war with my website designer because she had sent me kind of the first iteration or maybe the second iteration of the website, and from conversations we were having and her expertise, and there was a photo on the front page that I just was of me, but I didn't love it, right? And I'm like, I just don't love that photo. And she's like, okay, what do you want? And I go, here, I'll send you one that I do love. And so I sent her a photo that I've used time and again. It might even be my LinkedIn profile for that matter. I'm in an orange shirt, and I've always loved that photo, and that shirt. And she's like, she looks at it and she's like, okay, and she makes the update live on the screen. But I'm looking at her, an intuitive person that I am. I'm like, something's off. So I said, look, I said, I'm getting the feeling that you don't love that photo as much as I love that photo. And she's like, well, you're the client, and I want to trust your instincts, and I want to make sure that you have something you love on the website. And I said, yeah, but, and she goes, but I don't love that photo. And she said, the reason I don't love the photo is not that it's not a great photo of you. It's just not going to do what we want the web page to do. And I was like, oh, in that moment, both my intuition and her expertise were correct. So, when do about going inside and gathering your own inner wisdom, which is what I teach inside Career Alchemy Academy. And I truly, truly believe that we know ourselves, and we have access to, um, our soul's purpose, our spiritual board of advisors, our guides. I do believe that. I believe that they're downloading wisdom. We have a purpose here, and we can get out of alignment with our purpose, and that's when things start to feel really hard and really messy. And when we're in alignment, it feels more in flow. And so I recognize that and I believe that our intuitions, our instincts, our inner wisdom is the truth for us. And there can be outer wisdom, or through experts, that's also the truth. So we were both right in that moment. I didn't want to keep a photo on my website that I didn't love. I didn't want to open up my website every week or every day and be like, oh, that photo, like I didn't want to feel like that. I wanted to open up my website and be like, oh my gosh, I want everyone to see my website, but at the same time, she's an expert at designing websites. She's an expert at understanding how a website should interact or can interact and engage with a visitor, right? And we wanted to find a photo that was going to serve both, attend to my inner intuition and also to her expertise. And that's what we did. We looked through some different photos, and I said, well, I like these two. And she said, me too. And I said, okay. And we picked one. But that whole experience got me thinking about this. I don't want to call it a tug of war, but just to use what I've already, the circular conversation of how I started this is, but there can be conflict sometimes, I guess I would say, between is the inner wisdom that I have here enough? Is it, or is it time to go outside, right? So the truth is both can matter. So, and you always go inside first. So that's the first big pro tip here, is you always go inside first. I think we've been taught to look outside of ourselves, to think that other people, books, media, data have the right answers for us. And there is information there, but I will say this over and over and over again, that there's nothing more right than your inner wisdom. And so you always turn to your inner guidance first, that sort of deep, steady voice of truth, and give it what it deserves, which is your attention, because it will, letting it be heard first centers you, and then from there you can decide what next. So, your inner guidance system knows what's best and right for you, knows what feels the most authentic, what feels the most in integrity for you, what you can and cannot live with. That's what your inner voice will be speaking to you. It knows, where you're going, the work you're meant to be doing, the how you're meant to be of service. It knows that. When we sometimes forget, it's not gone, it's there, we can access it. um so you start there, and then you ask yourself, is this the whole picture? you know is there something here that I might not know, that I need to know in order to move forward with what's best? And I think coaching is by far and away one of the best ways that you can, especially in your career, um, uh, have that really, the right coach, can be such a compliment to your inner wisdom, because the right coach isn't going to ever tell you what to do. It might give suggestions if you ask, but or he or she might do that. But the right coach is in alignment with your inner wisdom, right? So there's three things that I think are important to do when you're at a choice point. You're making a decision of some, for some reason you're involved in something that requires you to decide on what actions to take next. And so the three steps that I think are really important that I teach my client is, first and foremost, check in with yourself first. Ask yourself, what do I already know about this situation? Or an even kind of up level question to that is, if I did know, what was the next best step for me? What was the decision to make? What would I do? And that just directs your brain into the problem a little bit differently, right? Your brain just loves to solve problems, and I'm always a fan of giving it the problem to solve. So often your answer is the closer to the truth than you think when you ask those questions. Like, you're going to get a lot of good data there. So first, just start with yourself. Second is checking in with your emotions around the information that your inner wisdom gave you. So you want to start to learn how to be able to discern between um, uh, something that feels scary to you and a fear-based response that I believe is based in thought errors. So I often think that there is a real difference between feeling afraid about something and being fearful because and worried. Um, that's more based in thought errors, that you're creating thoughts that are creating an emotion of fear, or it might feel like I'm afraid, but it isn't serving you. So you need to, and you can tell the difference once you become better at discerning between something that is, yellow flags that need to be, or red flags that need to be attended to, and thought errors that are creating anxiety and worry inside of you. Once you can discern between that, then you can keep going even though you are afraid, because you know that this is in fact the right next step. Because we don't, in fact, we want to be pushing up against our comfort zone. We want to get that feeling of, oh no, this is going to require something more of me than I've ever given before, perhaps. We want that. And and um and we often let the thought error of, what will other people think? This is too much. Where will I find the time? How could I possibly pay for that? All of those are thought errors. Those are not your inner wisdom guiding you to what you're meant to be doing. So first, check in with yourself and ask yourself, put your brain on the problem in a different way. Ask your inner guidance system, what do I already know? And then discerning between thought errors that are just simply not true. They're just you, um, you know, uh, afraid to change is really what that is. And, what is something that's just scary, but you can do it, especially when you get the right support about you. And then the third step is what I call like naming what you don't know. So you've listened inside, you've asked that question, if I did know, what would I do? I've as I'm gathering that information, I'm checking in to make sure that it might feel scary, but I'm not going to just say, oh, that's not good information, just because we're having some slight uh, uh, you know, discordant energy inside of us. And then third, once you've listened inward, once you've asked, what you did know, and you're discerning between, false and real um, thoughts and feelings, then ask yourself what might be missing here. So now you want to get into the gap, what might be missing here? What might I need some coaching on? What might I need to gather some more information on? What might I need to do in order to have everything I need to take the next step? So 3 steps: check in with yourself, discern between, inner wisdom and thought errors, and then ask yourself what else you might need to know. What are your gaps? So that's when you then step out. And then sometimes that's enough. Your inner wisdom, you've go through these 3 questions, sort of engaging with your inner wisdom and putting your brain on your problem a little different ways, which is giving you some intuitive information as well. And sometimes you're like, oh, I know exactly what I need to do. No question. And other times it will lead you to what you need to do next, where you need to go in order to get the information, who you need to talk to, what book you need to read, whatever it is, what I mean. So, because I think that's how career clarity works. Your inner wisdom is going to tell you what feels aligned, what you're craving. Your inner wisdom is going to tell you what isn't working, right? But an outside perspective, from a coach or other avenues, other areas, can help you. Like I said at the very top, I said, how I help, like building confidence. So it can help you feel more confident. It can help clear the fog so there's less confusion, so you have more clarity. And it can help shine a light on any of your blind spots so that you're sort of the observer of the gaps. And it empowers you to because now so now what that's not, it's not a blind spot anymore, right? And that will all guide you to your next step. So alchemy happens when you honor both your inner wisdom and and outer expertise when needed. So you start inside first, get all of that, and then again, you will know, trust me, you'll be like, I don't need to talk to anyone. I know exactly what I need to do. Or, I'm still have some questions. Maybe I'm still feeling a little bit scared. And again, you've discerned it's like, I'm scared because it's the unknown, but not because it's not what can be known to me. If I was thinking about this is a whole nother blog I should write. Maybe I will, but I'll just tease it out here for a second. But I was thinking about the fact that there was a point in my life when I did not know how to ride a two-wheeler, right? I would see other people riding the two-wheelers, and then my parents are like, hey, my dad, we're going to take those training wheels off. But it was still an unknown to me. And then I'm riding a two-wheeler and it became known to me. So there are all these points in our lives when what's next for us, what's coming to us, is still feels very much in the unknown. And I remember looking at these young kids on their bikes who were, tootling around the neighborhood, And one part of me was like, "Ooh, I wanna do that." And the other part is like, "Heck no, I don't know how to do that. I'm so scared." And so that can happen, and in fact, it will happen. Get ready. It's gonna happen all through your career where your inner career nudge is pointing you is in the unknown, and you're gonna feel incapable, right? And then all of a sudden you're doing it and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I never knew I could, create a pivot table in Excel, and now look at me, I do it all day long." Or, lead a team, a global team, and now look at me, right? So I think that that's why it's so important to um, discern between just feeling nervous about the unknown, but wanting to follow and really trusting yourself that you do know what's right and what's the next step for you, and then getting any additional support outside of you to make that bridge from the unknown to the known, to make it simpler, make it faster, make it more fun. I like to think of myself as being a lot of fun. So as a coach, but anyway, so the alchemy really starts to happen when you honor both sides. Your inner authority makes sure you're staying true to yourself, and trusted experts give you tools and knowledge and perspective that perhaps just based on your life to date, you just don't have access to. And so we can talk about that. So that's it for today. If you're ready to tune into your inner wisdom and engage with, some of my expertise that I've gained over the years, uh, and and also build that your relationship with your inner wisdom, because that's what I do as a coach, helping you to trust yourself, then reach out. Let's talk. I can't wait. Get inside of Career Alchemy Academy. Be part of the magic that's happening there, and stay inspired, stay connected inside and out. Have a great day.